Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I know it's a little bit past 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm off in the evening and I can't sleep. I decide to go ahead and do a live stream. So that's why I'm here right now. So I hope each and every one of you are doing well. And I'm normally do the chats at the end, but I'll start at the beginning and then I'll get to the meat and potatoes of what we're going to discuss this evening. So how are you doing, Miguel? And Yankee Tanky, how are you doing today? I hope everyone's doing fine. So anyway, let's see, do we have anybody else here? And I will probably conversate more with everybody here on the chat line when everything's up, commentary wise. So anyway, here I am, and I want to discuss a video I saw the other day by the Amazing Atheist about commenting on Pod Save America and their reaction to Cornel West and even their take on Robert Kennedy and all of that. And for those of you who do not know what Pod Save America is, and I barely know who they are. I mean, I know who they are, but I never pay attention to them. If the Young Turks is on the online left, is to what MSNBC is, Pod Save America is a little bit worse than that. They're like CNN. I mean, it's like so centricity and so establishment. It hurts. So, and that's not a compliment even to TYT, Anna Kasparian and Shank Yogurt, Shank Yogurt and Anna Kasparian, the birthing person. That really gets under her skin, by the way. So anyhow, what I would like to do is I like to go ahead and play this video by the Amazing Atheist about Pod Save America, vote for Biden or else, basically what it's called. And I'm going to be playing it, and then I'm going to give you my take right there. So hold on one moment here, and we'll get everything set underway. Yeah, we will get everything set underway. Let me begin at the beginning. Hold on here. Okay. All right.
So this is, I don't know if you guys have heard of this. I guess I've heard it mentioned around the way. But it's a show called Pod Save America. I don't know.
Pod Save America sucks.
I don't know what the political affiliation is. I think it's more, I don't know if it's more lib, more left. I don't think it's right wing, but I'm not really sure. But I saw a clip from it that I thought could probably use some addressing, and we're going to do that now.
If the people who voted for Jill Stein, just Jill Stein, in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania had voted for Hillary instead, Donald Trump would have never become president.
Oh, fuck this guy already. Seriously. Not literally, but just like dismissively. I mean, this guy, anybody who voted for Jill Stein put Trump in the White House. What put Trump in the White House for the billionth time was Hillary Clinton being a sorry candidate in 2016. She fucking sucked. She is the establishment, and people were tired of the establishment. They had an opportunity with Bernie Sanders, who's not, looking back in hindsight, it's not as impressive as I thought he was at the time. But still, in the context of the time, he was the person to vote for over Hillary Clinton. And without going into conspiracy theories, we know what happened in the primary in 2016. It happened again in 2020. And we know what happened. That's what brought us Donald Trump. Not only that, but the Clintons themselves basically urged Donald Trump to run in the Republican primary. Please, nobody ever forget that Bill and Hillary Clinton urged Donald Trump to run in the primaries. This motherfucker from Pod Save America is too fucking dense to realize that.
That's it, right? And so
That's it, right? I mean, I hate these silly what-if scenarios because if everyone who voted for Donald Trump had voted for Hillary Clinton, if only 2% of the people who voted for Trump had voted for Hillary instead, if only 2% of people who voted for Trump decided to stay home, if only this had happened or that had happened, or if only this percentage of the population had done this thing, none of these woulda, coulda, shoulda things really matter at the end of the day.
Not only that, but there's far left forgiveness for those that dared voted for Bernie Sanders in the primaries in 2016 and even were loyal enough to vote for Hillary Clinton in 2016 on election day. Even they get the shit. Because when I remember in 2016 when Hillary Clinton lost, all these Hillary Clinton apologists were saying, oh, you know what got Trump elected in 2016? Everybody. Anybody that voted for Bernie Sanders, even in the primaries, even if they voted for Hillary Clinton on election day, they're the cause. Anybody that voted for Gary Johnson of the Libertarian Party, which those votes would have gone to Trump, by the way. Anybody who voted for Joe Stein, anybody who voted for anybody but Hillary Clinton, caused Donald Trump to become president. Such fucking retards. My God. And revisiting 2016, getting flashbacks.
I know that they seem like they do. I know that we want to go look at the past and be like, oh, what was our mistake? What was our fault? It's really easy, and it seems to be very popular, especially among Democratic Party voters, to point a finger at the people like, you Jill Stein voters, you did this to us. It's like, well, hey, you could have given us something better to vote for, right?
Exactly. And let me make this clear, if I haven't made it clear for the millionth time, for all the people 2016 that told me to fuck off on Facebook the day after the 2016 election for the following 2 weeks. I got a lot of people saying they were disappointed with me. The best one were the best, or probably the nicer ones, were telling me they're really disappointed with me. How could I have done this? We're in North Carolina, for starters. It's a red-leaning purple state. My vote wouldn't have counted anyway. And even if it did, I still would have voted for Jill Stein. And here's the thing. If I could go back to the year 2016, would I have done anything any different? No. I would have voted for Jill Stein again on election day. And again, and again, and again, and again, and again. I want to make that clear. Again and again and again and again, I would have voted for Jill Stein. I make no apologies. I make no apologies for that. And, and all these people, I mean, look at what Hillary Clinton did. Did she go and make any gestures toward the left when she was getting the nomination? No, she chose Tim Kaine. She went rightward. She didn't go leftward. She went rightward. She went for a Democrat that was more corporate than her.
So maybe it's your...
And I always get this. This is the message you get from the Democrats, the establishment. When they look at the left, their message is this to the left. Hey, we don't like you. We don't need you. Go away. But you better vote for us anyway. And if you don't, and our Democrat loses, we blame you. That is their attitude. Fuck these people.
It's your fault. How dare you? You know what I mean? And I hate this idea, this self-defeating idea of, we're stuck in this paradigm between these two corporatist parties. And yeah, I'm not going to say they're no different from one another. Okay, I get it. There's some cosmetic differences. They do got the same donors and everything. They're both sucking the teeth of the military-industrial complex. You name it. They're both kumbaya and all that. Where are they different? On some culture war shit.
That's the big difference between the Democrats and Republicans. The Democrats are basically a rainbow version of the Reagan Revolution, whereas the Republicans, they took Ronald Reagan's bullshit and turned it into fucking Pinochet in the year 2023. So that's the difference as far as the social policy is concerned. Economically, they're and even on foreign policy, they're kind of the same.
They are different, but on many issues, they're not different. We're stuck in this paradigm where we have these two bought and paid for corporatist parties that one is all about the absolute preservation of a terrible status quo, and the other one is about making the status quo even worse.
That's right.
And that's our choices. And someone's like, hey, you know what? I want to go outside of this paradigm. I want to go outside of this duopoly, and I want to vote for someone else. And instead of being like, hey, you know what? I agree. I'm sick of this as well. I laud you for that. Instead, it's like, why are you throwing your vote away? You know, if the opposition wins, it's your fault because your vote for what you actually like is a tacit vote for the thing I don't like.
Eugene Debs once says in 1908, I'd rather vote for what I want and not get it than to vote for what I don't want and get it. Just remember those words. When anybody sits there and they give you shit about voting third party or voting for an independent candidate, remember those words. I'd rather vote for what I don't want and not get it than to vote for what I don't want and to end up getting it. Remember those words from Eugene Debs.
And it's just like,
oh, and this whole thing about it's a waste of time to vote for the Democrats, or excuse me, to vote outside the Democrats and the Republican Party, that you vote for an independent. It's a waste of time. Nobody's going to go and vote for. It's a waste of vote. Meaning, fuck your concerns. Even if the Democrats and Republicans don't even address anything that you hold dear, and that happens a lot. That happens with my politics. That's what happens to me. Almost everything that I hold dear, my major issues, the Democrats and Republicans says, fuck you, Willie Bragg. Fuck you, what you want. You know, why should I go and vote for them? And listen, I get it from both sides. I have people who I'm friends with who are Democrats, gives me the guilt trip. I have friends who are Republicans who does the same thing. And I tell them both. I mean, sometimes I tell them both nicely, no, your party stinks. And sometimes I tell them, get the fuck away from me. You know, seriously.
It's like, okay, so we can't vote for a third party candidate because they can't win, and they can't win because we can't vote for them.
Very true. Also want to note that it is not a waste of time, even if your candidate never wins. And the reason why, one, you have a constitutional right, your First Amendment right, to tell the two parties to fuck off. And your vote for a third party or an independent is a way to tell them to fuck off. And also, if they can get above 5%, like for president, if the Green Party, for example, with Cornel West's campaign next year, if he can get up to 5% or higher, they get federal matching funds. And when they get federal matching funds, that means that they get that they're a political party to be taken seriously. And that means that they are involved more in the process. And the two parties do not like that. They do not like that scenario. Oh, maybe in some isolated cases they will. I mean, you know, like for example, last year in North Carolina, and I'm not faulting the Republicans. In fact, well, I know the Republicans did the right thing for the wrong reason. And the Democrats were the ones who were the bad guys here. But when the Green Party got on the ballot, achieve ballot party access in a North Carolina ballot. The state board of election, 3 and 2. It was like a 5-person board on the state board of elections. 2 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and the 3 Democrats voted in unison that the Green Party ballots, the Green Party was, their signatures were insufficient. Blah blah blah, and all of a sudden they were taken off the ballot. It took some doing for the Green Party to get back on the ballot in North Carolina. The Republicans weren't the bad guys here. I mean, of course they weren't. They figure, well, those votes are going to be, they will, in their mindset, they figure those votes will likely go to the Democrats or whatever, and it's vice versa. I mean, I'm sure the Democrats like libertarians and the Constitutional Party on the ballot for the same reasons. So, anyway, we'll let them continue.
And you don't see a problem with, like, how are you going to escape the paradigm then? Like, if anybody out there who agrees with me that, whatever differences might exist between these two parties is pretty paltry and that they're both horrible, how else do we escape the paradigm? We can't do it by not voting, because then it's still just the two of them. So, third party has to be the solution. But it only works if everyone decides, no, we're not voting for this. We're going to go vote for this over here. Instead, we are going to give a third party candidate, we're going to empower them to go and do this. But it's a complete non-starter, because whenever anyone does make that decision, they're browbeat and made to feel like, no, you're the one who gave us Trump. It's like, no, you got Trump because voters of this country felt like they weren't being listened to and they were forgotten, and Trump was able to win over a bunch of Midwest Democrats because they felt like the Democratic Party had abandoned them, and they were right, it had. That's not to say that Trump was really going to do them any favors or actually help them in any substantive way, but that's the sales pitch that was used. So if you want to be against voting third party, that's fine. But at the end of the day, if you agree with me that both of these parties are terrible and that we need to escape this paradigm, then you better have some sort of alternate way to do it. And it doesn't seem like the idea of let's put somebody up through the Democratic Party is going to work, because it seems like even when you elect bright-eyed, bushy-tailed progressives, it seems like they're very quickly marginalized and subverted within the corridors of power.
Not only that, but if you're an independent or independent leaning, the Democrats will come up to you and say, why don't you just go ahead and bring your ideas and your proposal, put your money where your mouth is, and work inside the Democratic Party. And when you work inside the Democratic Party, like he said, Amazing Atheist said, if you're trying to reform, they will find a way to try to stop you from going forward. AOC and Bernie Sanders are shining examples of this. Also, look what happened when Biden became president. There was an opportunity to try to have health care through force of vote. I know we weren't going to have Medicare for all, but we would have had something. We would have had a public option, would have had lower prescription drugs, something. Nancy Pelosi would have been sweating bullets, and she would have given in. She would have given them something. But they didn't do this because, because even though it was not a Jimmy Dore idea, they associated force of vote with Jimmy Dore, and they would rather just, some of these people would rather say fuck Jimmy Dore than to have health care for all, or to improve or get us closer to where we need to be, toward where we want to be with regard to universal health care. They'd rather keep the status quo hell than to acknowledge that Jimmy Dore could be right about something. So that's part of that situation there. And I would never forgive I'll never forgive anyone of some of these podcasters who were opposed to force a vote. They have soured my opinion on them forever.
I'm sure there's a lot of Cornell West fans out there.
I'm one of them.
You live in a swing state. You vote for Cornel West. You're helping Trump become president.
No. You want to know how you can prevent Trump from becoming president if you don't want Cornel West to run? Well, for starters, you can, instead of having Joe Biden, why don't you have a progressive Democrat up there? Not Kamala Harris, not the cop from California, Kamala Harris, not Pete the Cheat, Mayor Pete, not him, not Berto O'Rourke, not anyone like that. No. What you need is somebody up there that will be a progressive. Now, regarding Robert Kennedy or Marianne Williamson, I have if I get time, I will go and reiterate what's right and wrong about them. But Pod Save America, and look how smug this motherfucker is. I know people like this guy. They think they're so right, and they're just so wrong because they had a repeating strategy. The whole, repeat the same shit over and over again, and you end up, it's the definition of insanity.
That's it. And you can say, oh, well, it's Joe Biden's fault he did this or that. No. It's your decision.
No, motherfucker. It's Joe Biden's fault for being as a fucking centrist, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's my decision to not vote for an unimpressive piece like Joe Biden. Now,
I'm not monetized, so I could say it. Yeah, it's not my fault if I don't want to vote for an unimpressive piece of shit like Joe Biden. Exactly.
I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I don't even know if I will vote. I may decide to vote for Joe Biden. I might decide, hey, I'm buying the lesser of two evils argument this time around. I might decide that I'm going to vote third party because I don't think that Joe Biden has done enough to earn my vote. I might decide to abstain from voting because I just think the whole thing is a waste of my time, and the results are already just kind of guaranteed and locked in anyway. I don't know. I always make that sort of assessment based on, what's going on in that particular election cycle. But whatever decision I make is my decision to make. And that's kind of the whole idea behind democracy, right? I look at some candidates, they come forward and they say, here's my vision for the country. And if I agree with that vision for the country, that's who I vote for. And I stop making these sort of little political calculations about, oh, well, but the candidate I like only has 2% support, so I'd be wasting my vote. No. Well, no, I should try to get out there and get that candidate more support because that's the only way that I'm ever going to get what I want, right? I don't know, this whole, let's settle for less, let's just give it to Joe Biden, even though he's a useless do-nothing because Trump is worse. I don't know. I don't know if I buy that argument this time around. I did vote for Joe Biden in 2020 as a harm reduction vote because I thought he was a lesser of two evils. But honestly, I don't think harm has been reduced enough as of yet to make me feel like that vote was justified.
Of course not. I mean, we're on the way to World War III.
You get to decide whether you want to help Donald Trump become president or you don't. And if you want to help him,
this idea that the whole election is somehow just about, it's like you've reduced the entirety of our democracy to you either help the bad guy win or you don't. So basically the entirety of our democracy now is just a moratorium on Trump. You either vote for Biden, not because you want Biden, but to stop Trump, or you vote for Trump, or you vote de facto for Trump by daring to vote for anyone other than Biden, or you vote de facto for Trump by not participating in voting. Basically, not voting is a vote for Trump. Voting for someone other than Biden is a vote for Trump. Voting for Trump, obviously, is a vote for Trump. The only thing you could possibly do, the only viable political strategy moving forward, the only way to stop Trump is to vote for Biden. That's all you could do. That's it. That's your only option. It may...
I don't get this. That if you vote third party or if you abstain from voting or what have you, that vote's a vote for Trump or some Republican. Because I get accused of this all the time. I get accused of this a lot. I mean, I have people that accuses me of being a closet Democrat. I have Republican friends. They know who they are. That they accuse me of being a closet Democrat because what they project that Democrats believe. That, well, I wish that they did believe in these things, because I would be a Democrat still. I would be a 1970s Democrat. If 1970s liberalism was still around in the Democratic Party, I would probably still be a Democrat, even though 1970s liberalism is not as far left as the politics that I advocate. But it is enough that I could go in there and, a McGovernite, somebody like a George McGovern style Democrat. Sure, absolutely would go into a party with someone like a George McGovern as the leader of the party. Absolutely. But the Democratic Party, under the leadership, under the clutches of the Clintons, no, I can't be a party. I belong to a party like that. The Clintons, who Reaganized the Democratic Party, and I got Republicans. I got Democrats who think I'm a closet Republican because I shit on the Democrats a lot, and I shit on the Democrats because they're too much like the Republicans. But the point I'm trying to make is that my vote for independent candidates is not a tacit vote for Republicans. I did not contribute money to any Republicans. I am not a registered Republican. I in no way, shape, or form promote what the Republican Party is about. And when I criticize the Democrats, I criticize them for being too much like the Republicans. So that shit doesn't work on me.
It may suck, it may stink, you may have to plug your nose, but you just got to do it. I can get with that argument sometimes. But there has to be a little bit sharper of a contrast than this, because there's still kids in cages at the border. He didn't do anything about that. Trans rights are still being threatened. Roe v. Wade is gone. What has he done? What harm has been reduced at this point? I can't even point to anything. The best thing I can point to under the Joe Biden administration is an extremely watered down infrastructure bill that ultimately was little more than a handout to corporate America. But I guess there were some good things in there. I can point to some student loan forgiveness stuff that has been held up in courts all over the place. I don't know if anyone's student loans have actually been forgiven at this point. And tons of people didn't even qualify for it in the first place. I don't know. Where's the reduced harm? The only thing you can really, from a policy position, I can't think of a single thing where Joe Biden has really substantively reduced harm.
One area, and that will be pulling the troops out of Afghanistan. And all these Republicans who said that they were tired of all these wars, well, all of a sudden, you have Lauren Boebert, who wanted to file impeachment articles of impeachment on Biden for pulling the troops out of Afghanistan, when the bitch needs to go and file articles of impeachment for putting us in harm's way in a proxy war in Ukraine. That's what you go and impeach Biden for, putting us in a proxy war over there between Russia and Ukraine, not for pulling the troops out of Afghanistan. Those troops out of Afghanistan should have been pulled out a long time ago.
The only thing I can really think where Joe Biden has reduced harm is more on a cultural level. Just the far right doesn't feel as emboldened with Joe Biden as president as they did when Trump was president. So I guess there's that.
I beg to differ. They're winning on the state level. Yeah, their Lord and Savior, Donald Trump. And if it wouldn't be Donald Trump, it'll be somebody else. And my suspicion is going to be Ron DeSantis with these motherfuckers. A lot of them are dumping Trump for DeSantis. Look at Ben Shapiro and look at people like people from the Daily Wire. They're going over to DeSantis. As the Blaze TV, they obviously favors DeSantis. Dave Rubin, the self-loathing homosexual that moved from liberal California down to Florida, is supporting DeSantis. So there you have it.
So the best, most compelling case I think you can make for a Joe Biden vote at this point would be something along the lines of like, hey, well, we don't want a far right wing figure like Trump in there because of that. But you know what? If you play this game of party politics of the two-party system, the Republicans are eventually going to get back in there. You're not just
they're going to eventually get back in there. That is correct. And same thing with the Republicans. They act like it's the end of the world when Democrats win presidential elections or regain their majority in Congress. They act like the sky's falling. They're going to get back in power too. It goes down back and forth. It goes on back and forth. And, all these Democrats, Republicans, these Republicans, that they can survive Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. And these Democrats, they can survive Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan, which they have rehabilitated him. And notice that the Democrats tend to rehabilitate Republican presidents far quicker. You never hear Republicans doing that to past Democrat presidents. They're usually like, well, Bill Clinton's a piece of shit, which he is, but for different reasons. Barack Obama's a piece of shit, which he is, not for the reasons that the Republicans think he is, And currently, Joe Biden is a piece of shit, which he is, but not for the reasons that the Republicans make him out to be. But the Democrats, they'll take a look at someone like George W. Bush, and they'll be like, he's such a swell guy, which they didn't like him too much 20 years ago. Jimmy Dore said this, and this is what's wrong with liberalism today. Jimmy Dore said they hated Ralph Nader because he supposedly gave us George W. Bush. Now these same liberals love Ralph Nader, and they love George W. Bush. I just butchered that up. Let me rephrase that. The liberals hated Ralph Nader because he supposedly gave us George W. Bush. Now, these same liberals, they love George W. Bush, and they still hate Ralph Nader. I want y'all to think about that. Where's the progressivism with the Democrats?
It's going to have endless runs of Democrats. It's always been a back and forth. Sometimes a party will control the White House for a few presidencies, but ultimately the country always swings back the other way. So what are you going to do when your lesser of two evils vote just doesn't work and most of the country just does vote for the greater evil? When is the point where we break this mold? When is the point where we break this cycle? When is the point where we say this isn't working? This two-party gridlock, these twin corporatist parties, but us from slightly different angles, isn't working anymore. How do we escape this? And if you don't have an answer to that, then don't you dare tell me to do a lesser of two evils vote. Because, maybe it solves the very immediate problem of Trump, but it doesn't actually address the far larger, more substantive, and way more destructive problem of how do we escape this nonsense in the first place? How do we overturn this apple cart?
Another thing is this establishment politics is what got us done to begin with. This whole Donald Trump thing could have been prevented. It could have been prevented on many, many, many levels. One, if the Republicans weren't so unhinged and far to the right already, they would have been a normal Dwight Eisenhower style center-right party. They could have prevented a Trump. That's on the Republican side. On the Democratic Party side, if they could have actually governed with real good policies and not act like scared little pussies when the Republicans beat their chests, and give us good policies and give us good reforms instead of giving us, a lot of the corporatist nonsense and put it in rainbow clothing. No offense to the LGBTQ for saying this. This could be prevented. And I'm not impressed with Christian bombs blowing up Muslim countries under Bush or under Trump. And I'm not impressed when those bombs are painted rainbow doing the same thing. My point is, no matter who's in power, everything remains the same, aside from the culture war issues that divide us. And those people on the top who may have culture war differences amongst themselves, they may have divisions on pro-choice versus pro-life on abortion. They may have differences on gay marriage. They may have differences on some of these issues, these culture war issues, but they are wealthy as sin. And they like to see all of us divided and fighting each other. And they win on the top. They tolerate their little differences on the top, and they look down and they're fucking laughing at us.
Then you should vote for Cornel West, or you should vote for Joe Manchin and his no labels ticket, or you could vote for, RFK Jr. if he decides to run third party. But if you don't want to help Trump become president, you gotta vote for Joe Biden. That's it. Very simple.
I gotta tell you, I feel less inclined to vote for Joe Biden at this point in your video than I did before I started watching. You have literally made me want to not vote for Joe Biden just to spite your smug ass. Now, I'm not petty enough to actually base my decision on that. I'm just letting you know.
Simple. Now, I think messaging to vote.
Yeah, I'm less inclined myself, considering I've heard this argument over and over and over again, and the Democrats keep repeating the same shit over. The Republicans, they just move on further right. They don't learn their lesson. They look their wounds and they go further right. And instead of the Democrats going back to the left, they kind of go parallel right with them. Maybe not on the insane culture war issues, but they draw the line in the sand on things like economics and foreign policy, and the Democrats just go along with them. Kumbaya.
Voters who might actually make this decision is probably a little different, I would say, because
No, chastising works.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, fuck your chastising. Pod Save America. Pod Save America. Take chastising and stick it up your ass.
I just told you, it's pushing me in the other direction, just so you know. I literally make myself more repulsed by the idea of voting for Joe Biden the more you endorse it as an idea and concept.
I do think you need to explain why these candidates would not be good candidates for president. I really do, because I think we could get tripped up in that, because I think if you are one of these voters and you hear a bunch of people yelling at you to vote for Joe Biden and because you have to, I don't think it's going to be very effective. And I think you have to say why RFK Jr. is not a good choice, why Cornel West is not a good choice.
I mean, RFK Jr., I can see why he's not a good choice. He's a loon.
RFK Jr., when it comes to the vaccine, I'm a moderate on the vaccine. I've told people, I'm a moderate. I don't care who knows what my position is. I think the vaccines work. I think you're better off to take the vaccines. Go ahead, take the vaccine. If you want to take the vaccines, you don't. But but I'm not going to chastise you. I'm a civil libertarian, and I think that is your individual rights. Now, we could solve this vaccine problem by giving everybody free health care who needs it when they need it, when they get this virus or any other ailment. This is why the other countries handle COVID a hell of a lot better than the United States, because they had the good sense to create a fucking universal healthcare system decades before we did. They were equipped. We weren't. And I can't believe that we went through this fucking pandemic and we still don't have, we still haven't done anything to march toward universal health care. And, even after forced to vote was rejected, and there were people out there, don't even go and call for Medicare for all, because they want our politicians to forget about Medicare for all. They want us to forget about it as a concept. And I won't. In fact, I've said it, I have actually gotten further left on healthcare. I've gotten further left on healthcare. NHS, Great Britain, Cuba system. Let's go with one of those two options. Fuck this profit shit system that we have here. Fuck the profit motive system that the United States have when it comes to healthcare. Fuck the private medical industrial complex.
Cornel West, I've never been super affectionate towards him. I've seen him on Real Time with Bill Maher a few times back when I used to watch that. That's been maybe a decade now. I guess I've seen him talk on a few other occasions. And he seems like a nice guy. Seems like we would agree on a lot of stuff. But I don't really have any sort of tremendous desire to see him become the president. I don't really think he has the charisma to pull it off.
Oh no, I this is where I will disagree with the Amazing Atheist. I like Cornel West. I've always liked Cornel West, and I will be very happy to vote for Cornel West. I'm curious who he's going to choose as his running mate. I have some ideas of who he could choose as his running mate, but that's ultimately up to Cornel West. Why would he listen to me? But I am totally 100% behind Cornel West, and there's nothing that anybody can say that's going to convince me otherwise.
But if I did feel otherwise, if I did feel like this is a good candidate, then I think I should vote for him.
Why Joe Manchin? Whoever it may.
Well, I don't need any explanation about why Joe Manchin sucks.
Maybe it's not a good choice. So that is something that I think Democrats are going to have to figure out in the next year. Finally,
we're done. Yeah, that sucked. That was really painful. Here's what I would say. I don't. If you feel like there is enough of a reason to do a lesser of two evils vote, go ahead and do it. But I would say that if you feel like there is someone on the ticket that you agree with more, that you find to be a compelling figure, that you think would be a good leader, you should probably vote for them. And you should probably try to get others to vote for them too, because that seems like a much more honest way to conduct ourselves in a supposed democracy than just constantly making the political calculation of who's more electable though. I wonder. I don't know. I think if you could mobilize some of the people who don't vote, you could probably. It always kind of baffles me because, the amount of people who vote third party typically are minuscule compared to the amount of people who just don't vote. And yet the non-voters, these, DNC people, they never seem to try to do anything to appeal to the non-voter. They never seem to try to do anything to bring non-voters into the fold. I mean, I guess they do, like, we're throwing a free concert, Beyonce, if you register to vote. So it's like, okay, trying to get people to do that kind of shit, I guess. But they never actually make a political case to them. They never actually try to go out there and be like, here's why you should vote. But they try to put a tremendous amount of pressure on anybody who votes third party. It's like, oh no, because they know that person is politically motivated. But they're just like, but you're making the wrong political calculation. You're gonna let Trump win. It's like, Trump's gonna win eventually. Even if it's not Trump, it's gonna be someone like Trump. That side is gonna have its day again. So, you're trying to fight the inevitable, and you're trying to basically elect the hospice care party, because that's really what the Democrats are at this point. It's just like hospice care for a dying democracy. And I'm just not interested in that. I would rather actually try to get someone who can change things in there. Even if that's naive and idealistic, I'd rather be naive and idealistic than so goddamn cynical that I'm willing to vote for a corpse like Joe Biden. I think I just made my decision. I'm not voting for Joe Biden unless he gives me some kind of reason to.
Well, let me just say, I was almost voter shamed into voting for Joe Biden in 2020, almost voter shamed. And all I have to hear is Joe Biden a few times saying, if Medicare for All comes on my desk, I will veto it. Okay, you're going to veto Medicare for All. Motherfucker, you ain't getting my vote. So, and then, hey, I defeated the socialists. So, referring to Bernie Sanders. Yeah. So, I get voter shamed quite a bit for being pro third party. And here's the thing: I never give people shit about voting not voting independent, except that I think they should consider it. But it's still their choice at the end of the day. What the hell they want to do. It is their choice at the end of the day. So, and as I said, I'll get started with my hellos to everybody here. I started. I remember Miguel and the Yankee Tanky were here. I guess they still are. He must be off. Have had off for the 4th. Yeah, I was off for the 4th. Let's see here. Makes sense. Yep. Good morning, technology. Yep. Let's see. All right. Good morning and Wednesday morning. It is Wednesday morning. Let's see here. Nancy Pelosi's reference. Yep. Let's see here. Is it just me or all 2024 presidential candidates weak as fuck? It's a presidential election. It's just in the election cycles, there's always something, but you know, RFK, Trump, and Dr. Cornel West are the best three in my view. But I don't necessarily think of you either agree with anyone of West, but West. Yeah. I'll put it this way: the worst candidate that has a realistic chance of winning is Ron DeSantis. I'll put it that way. That is from the get go, hands down. That it would be the worst outcome, Ron DeSantis. That's still not going to deter me from voting for Cornel West. Let's see. Yep. Let's see here. Stargate stuff. What's up, Willie? Hey, what's up? How are you? Let's see here. All right. Here is a thought. High thought. First, imagine if Joe Biden wasn't president and it was a new primary, Joe Biden would have lost without being president. Yeah, definitely by now his dementia would be so obvious he'd be considered a joke. Let's see here. FJB is the worst of the worst. All right. Let's see. Goldwater Girl must have been my reference to Hillary Clinton earlier. Let's see. In that context, that would mean the establishment Democrats would back Williamson, and Kyle Kalinske would look like an absolute cuck, calling RFK anti, that word. Well, yeah, Kyle's been having some bad takes lately on certain things, so there is that. One of the better of the bigger names on the online left, but he's had some bad takes lately. Let's see. The Dems would rather pull off one of their wild cards, Gavin Newsom. Now, I have one nice thing to say about Gavin Newsom, and I hate Gavin Newsom for the record, but I have one nice thing to say. They did take over insulin production in California because the pharmaceuticals were basically gouging consumers. Yes, it became one of the most expensive in the entire country, and it gotten so expensive that for his electability, I'm sure he thought about this, that basically he got the state of California to take over production of insulin and to take it away from the private sector. Now, that's a good first move. I just think he needs to do that with the entire pharmaceutical industry in California. But that was okay, what he did. That certainly wasn't a terrible thing he did. Let's see here. Maybe, but I don't think that Marianne Williamson is really anti-establishment. Yeah, she's just eccentric. Let's see. Also, Gavin Newsom might not be relevant enough to win without him trying to attract himself to Biden, to be fair. I think he'd be a weak candidate, to tell you the truth. So on this, maybe not. Let's see here. Who knows? It's a big mess right now. The elections are always a big mess in this country. There's still yet another electoral bullshit before anything else happens. Yep. Let's see here. I like the idea of Kyle trying to push the idea that Williamson is the non-establishment vote compared to RFK, as the establishment back her over RFK Jr. My position on RFK versus Marianne Williamson. They both have some strengths and weaknesses. What I like about RFK is his anti-war position. He's anti-war, and he calls for freeing Julian Assange. He's pro-free speech. He's, those things I do like about him. And I think that if you're going to believe in the Democratic Party, you need some of those ideas there in the Democratic Party. In that regard, I do like him. What I don't like about Robert Kennedy is he's a little bit ambivalent toward the idea of Medicare for all. And he's also too pro-Hillary Clinton, which is really weird that he's pro-Hillary Clinton and pro-Assange at the same time. That's bonkers. So let's see here. Yankee Tanky, RFK, and I know you. Let's see, Super Pantonal Man. Let's see. That's David. I know you, David. Yankee Tanky. RFK, besides his bunker views on the vaccine, his views on the Ukraine war, he's just a normal Democrat. Sometimes comes off to the right of Biden. Well, he's correct on the Ukraine. 100% correct on the Ukraine. Let's see. I don't trust it's RFK. He gives me off Obama Clinton vibes, typical Democrat. Let's see. He's also pro-Israel, which that would be pretty much every standard Democrat running. I mean, they're all going to be pro-Israel because, I mean, that's just the Washington consensus way of doing things. He's pro-Bitcoin, which that's, I have a problem with Bitcoin. He's a lifelong Democrat. He has any interest because he's bunkers his views on the vaccines alone. Let's see here. Yep. He's also very wishy-washy on his policies, nothing consistent. Yeah, I didn't like the way he threw Roger Waters under the bus over the Israel thing. What he could have done is he could have said, well, hey, he could have said, I disagree with him on the Israel statement, but I agree with Roger Waters. Otherwise, that's what he could have done. And I don't think he would have gotten in trouble, but he so worried about Zionists in the primaries in the Democratic Party, the Zionist votes, as far as pro-Israel is concerned. I think that has something to do with his fears and all of that. So I think that's what happened there. Let's see. I definitely won't be voting for Biden if I vote at all. Yep, I'm not going to vote. In fact, if until Cornell was announced, before he announced, I was planning to boycott the 2024 election. So anyway, I'm going to sign off very shortly. Thursday night at 7 p.m. Oh, hey, how are you doing today, Catherine Ann McCloskey? Let's see. The lesser of the two evils always lead to the evil of the two lessers. Frank Seiler did always say that, actually. So on Thursday at 7 p.m., I'm Eastern Standard Time, of course. I'm interviewing Dr. Sherry Weiss from KRTD, a colleague from Dr. KRTD Media, and we're going to be talking about modern monetary theory. We're going to be talking about, just politics in general. And she's a nice lady. Met her at the Rage Against War Machine, and as I said, she's got really good politics, and so we're going to be discussing these things Thursday night. Next Thursday, this coming Thursday. That's tomorrow, technically, at 7 p.m. on July 6th. 2023. So anyway, right now, folks, if you like what you heard, please press like and comment if you disagree with what I have to say, and we'll have a conversation. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are in fact the muckrakers of our time. Feel free to subscribe to this channel here on YouTube, and follow, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. Always reject corporate media, and remember to come on back here and support my channel and support as much of independent media as we can, because corporate media has nothing to offer. Always remember that. So anyway, I will sign off. I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.